Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are retaking a journey to the heart of the Black Hills in South Dakota to explore one of America's most iconic and monumental sculptures, Mount Rushmore, a symbol of freedom and hope, a testament to American history, and just an absolutely jaw-dropping sight to behold. But have you ever wondered how this colossal masterpiece came to be? Who were the people behind it, and what incredible feats of engineering did it take to carve the faces of 4 presidents into a mountain of solid granite? Well, you're in the right place, because we're about to dive deep into the fascinating story of Mount Rushmore, where from its original conception to the incredible dangers the workers faced and the enduring legacy it holds today. So, buckle up, because this is going to be an epic adventure. Let's start at the beginning. The idea for a giant carving in the Black Hills wasn't originally about presidents at all. In the early 1920s, a South Dakota state historian named Don Robinson was looking for a way to attract tourists to his state. He envisioned carving the likenesses of Western heroes like Lewis and Clark, Buffalo Bill Cody, and Red Cloud into the granite spires known as the Needles. He reached out to a Borglum, who had been working on a similar large-scale carving at Stone Mountain in Georgia, traveled to the Black Hills in 1924. He immediately saw the potential, but he had a different vision. He told Robinson that local heroes were too small-scale. To attract the entire nation, the monument needed to be of national significance. He proposed carving for presidents who he believed represented the most important events in the history of the United States. So, who did he choose and why? First, George Washington is the first president. He represents the birth of the nation and the foundation of American democracy. Next, Thomas Jefferson. He was chosen for the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, which doubled the size of the country and symbolized its westward expansion. Then came Abraham Lincoln. He was selected for his leadership during the Civil War, preserving the Union and upholding the principle that all men are created equal. And finally, Theodore Roosevelt. Borglum chose Roosevelt to represent the development of the country.
Ow!
The construction of the Panama Canal, and the establishment of the National Park System, symbolizing the conservation of America's natural resources. Borglum's vision was to create a shrine of democracy, a monument that would tell the story of America's first 150 years. With the vision set, the next challenge was finding the right canvas. The original site, the Needles, was deemed too thin and brittle to support such massive sculptures. Borglum spent months scouting the area, looking for the perfect mountain. He needed a formation with a southeast exposure to get the best sunlight throughout the day. And it had to be made of smooth, fine-grained granite that would be strong enough to hold the detailed carvings for thousands of years. Getting the project funded and approved was a whole other mountain to climb. He lobbied politicians and business leaders, convincing them of the project's national importance. In 1925, Congress authorized the Mount Rushmore National Memorial Commission, but federal funding was slow to come. The initial years were funded primarily by private donations and a small amount of seed money. President Calvin Coolidge officially dedicated the site in 1927, even suggesting that along with Washington and Lincoln, 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats should be featured. Despite the dedication, the project was constantly on the brink of financial collapse. Borglum traveled the country tirelessly, giving speeches and raising funds to keep the dream alive. It wasn't until the 1930s that the federal government stepped in with significant funding, securing the project's future and allowing work to begin in earnest. Now for the truly mind-blowing part, how did they actually carve a mountain? The work was done by a team of about 400 men, mostly unemployed miners and local ranchers who were desperate for work during the Great Depression. These weren't trained sculptors. They were ordinary guys who learned on the job, and the job was incredibly dangerous. They were suspended hundreds of feet in the air in little seats called bosun chairs held by 3/8-inch steel cables. Their main tool? Dynamite. That's right, over 90% of the rock removal was done with carefully placed explosives. The process was a fascinating blend of art and science. Gutzon Borglum would create a plaster model of the president's heads in his studio at a 1:212 scale. That means 1 inch on the model equaled 1 foot on the mountain. He then developed an ingenious pointing system. A giant protractor-like device was placed on top of the model's head, and another one was placed on the mountain. By taking precise measurements from the model, workers could locate the exact points on the mountain to drill and blast. They would drill holes, called drillways, deep into the granite, load them with dynamite, and blast away huge chunks of rock. This was precision. They had to get within a few inches of the final surface with explosives alone. The final detailed shaping was done with a process called honeycombing, where workers used jackhammers and drills to weaken the granite, followed by hand chisels and hammers to smooth the surface, creating the skin-like texture you see today. The conditions were extreme. The workers faced scorching sun, bitter cold, high winds, and the constant threat of falling rock and equipment. The noise from the jackhammers and dynamite blasts was deafening. Dust from the granite was everywhere. In the 14 years of construction, from 1927 to 1941, not a single worker lost their life on the project, which is an absolutely incredible safety record for that era and that type of work. These men were true heroes. They earned about $8 a day, and for that, they risked their lives to create something that would outlast them all. They were the unsung artisans who brought Borglum's grand vision to life, one blast and one chisel mark at a time. The project progressed one face at a time. Washington's face was the first to be dedicated. In 1930, Jefferson followed in 1936. Originally, Jefferson was supposed to be on Washington's right, but after 18 months of carving, they discovered the granite was weak and unsuitable. They had to blast the entire face off the mountain and start over on Washington's left. Next came Abraham Lincoln, dedicated in 1937. And finally, Theodore Roosevelt in 1939. Gutzon Borglum had an even grander vision, though. He wanted to carve the presidents from the waist up and also create a massive hall of records inside the mountain behind the faces. This hall was meant to house important American documents like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, along with the story of the memorial itself. Work on the Hall of Records began, and they managed to excavate a tunnel about 70 feet into the rock. However, fate had other plans. In March of 1941, Gutzon Borglum passed away unexpectedly. His son, Lincoln Borglum, who had been the project superintendent for years, took over to see his father's work to completion. But with America on the verge of entering World War II, funding for the project was pulled. On October 31, 1941, Lincoln Borglum declared the project complete. The carvings were essentially finished, though not to the level of detail his father had originally imagined. The dream of the Hall of Records was abandoned, left as an unfinished testament to a grander ambition. In 1998, a repository was placed at the entrance of the tunnel, containing porcelain panels with the story of Mount Rushmore, fulfilling a part of Borglum's dream to preserve its history for future generations. Today, Mount Rushmore is more than just a sculpture. It's a cultural landmark that draws nearly 3 million visitors every year. Standing at the Grand View Terrace, looking up at those 60-foot-high faces staring out across the Black Hills, it's impossible not to feel a sense of awe. The scale is almost incomprehensible. Each nose is about 20 feet long, each mouth 18 feet wide. If the bodies were fully carved, the presidents would stand 465 feet tall. The site is managed by the National Park Service, which does an incredible job of preserving the monument and educating visitors. There's the Lincoln Borglum Visitor Center, the sculptor's studio with the original 1:212 scale model, and the Presidential Trail, which lets you get a closer view from the base of the mountain. Of course, the story of Mount Rushmore isn't without its complexities. The land it's carved on, the Black Hills, is sacred to the Lakota Sioux tribe. The 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie had granted the Black Hills to the Lakota in perpetuity, but that treaty was broken when gold was discovered in the area. For many Native Americans, the monument represents a painful history and the desecration of a sacred site. This is a crucial part of the story to understand and respect. It's just a few miles away. Another monumental mountain carving is in progress. The Crazy Horse Memorial, which was started to honor Native American culture and heroes. It adds another layer to the rich and complex history of this unique region. So there you have it, the incredible story of Mount Rushmore. It's a tale of ambitious vision, incredible engineering, immense hardship, and undeniable artistic achievement. It's a monument that embodies the ideals of a nation, carved into the very rock of the continent. It's a testament to what humans are capable of when they dream big. Whether you see it as a shrine of democracy, a feat of engineering, or a complex symbol in American history, there's no denying its power and its presence. It's a place that makes you think, makes you wonder. and truly makes you feel small in the face of history and nature. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's most famous landmarks. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more adventures into history and iconic places. Let me know in the comments if you've ever been to Mount Rushmore and what your experience was like. Until next time, stay curious.